Structure beats luck. This is where the table finally starts to come together. Up to this point, everything has been layout and planning, but now we're turning these pieces into actual structure. If you're building your own craps table, this is one of the most important phases to get right. Before we can start building the wall system, everything has to come back off the table. I'm using custom microfiber layout from Casino For You and their vinyl underlayment to give that real casino feel. But structure comes first, so we're clearing everything down to the base. Once everything's cleared, the wall sections come out of the way. The build starts with 3/4 inch plywood base, and I'm getting it onto sawhorses to give me a stable, controlled workspace. Before I move any further, I need to establish a clean boundary line. I'm transferring a square line from the top of the table down to the underside, right where the wall art transitions into the straight edge. This line is going to control where my staples stop for both the vinyl underlayment and the microfiber outlay. If I go past this point, the material will show once the walls go back on, and that's a mistake you don't want to fix later. Next step is cleaning up the surface. Any dust, debris, or small particles left on the table will show through once the vinyl and layout go down. Even something small can create a bump, and once it's under there, you're not fixing it without pulling everything back up. This is where discipline matters. The details you don't see are the ones that make the difference. Now we're laying down the vinyl underlayment. As I roll it out, I'm keeping my eye out for any debris that could be trapped underneath. Anything left here is going to show through, so it's worth taking a second to clean it as you go. Once it's fully unrolled, I let the excess fall off the table and start working into position. I'm pulling it back slightly to give myself enough material to staple underneath. I also want to preserve as much of this vinyl as possible because I'm planning to use it later for the armrests. From here, I check my overhang on one side and match it on the opposite side so the vinyl is sitting as square as possible. It's not absolutely required, but keeping everything aligned now makes the final result cleaner. The next step is where people end up with wrinkles in their table. I'm using a heavy-duty stapler with 1/2-inch T50 staples. I always start in the center on one side and then go directly across the center to the opposite side and stretch it tight, but not so much that it pulls the material out of square. From there, I work from the center out toward the corners, stopping right at the line where the corner arcs begin. I'm placing staples about every 6 inches, then go back and filling in between them at 90-degree angle for a better hold. I then go back to the center and finish the other half on that side. Now, I repeat the process on the opposite side, stretching just enough to remove any wrinkles and keep the surface smooth. Next, I move to the short side and start in the center again. Because it's a shorter span, I can usually complete this side in one pass from corner to corner. Before finishing the final side, I trim off the excess and set it aside for later use as the armrests. Then I finish the last side stretching as I go to eliminate any remaining wrinkles and create a clean, smooth playing surface. You'll notice the corners aren't stapled yet. That's intentional. Those will be finished later. Now that the vinyl's secured, I'm giving it one more pass. A clean surface with tight material gives you what you want, a professional finish. Now we're laying down the custom microfiber layout from Casino For You. Once it's in place, I start smoothing it out and getting it close to position. The layout I'm using here was custom made through Casino For You, and their design team was great to work with. Super responsive, easy to communicate with, and they nailed exactly what I was going for. If you're thinking about building a table, I definitely recommend going custom. To square it up, I'm using a straight edge along the plywood and measuring from the table edge to the pass line. I go back and forth to make sure that the distance is consistent, so the layout sits visually square across the table. Now, instead of centering it perfectly, I'm actually biasing the layout slightly towards the player side. This gives more room on the dealer side for chips, payouts, and a space to work. As long as the measurements on the pass line stay consistent, the layout will look square even though it's not centered. If you just eyeball this step, it's really easy to end up with a crooked layout. And once there's staples, there's no fixing it. Once I'm happy with the position, I lock it in place, starting at the center points on one side near me, and then to the far side. This keeps the layout from shifting side to side while I stretch the long sides. I'm stretching just enough to remove wrinkles, but not so much that it distorts the material on the print. I then move to the far side to start in the center again, working out toward each end. Same process on the right side, keeping tension consistent so the layout stays smooth and square. Just like before, the corners aren't stapled yet, so a little movement there is completely normal at this stage. Clean surface, tight layout, everything's square. This is the foundation for everything that comes next. Now we move into the corners. This is where precision really matters. I start with a 45-degree cut from the edge working towards the center of the arc. I carry that cut just past the arc line we made earlier, giving myself enough material to stretch, while still staying within inside the line so nothing shows once the walls go back on. From there, I start removing all the excess material on both sides, working it back slowly until I'm just behind that reference line all the way around the curve. This is one of those steps where you don't rush it. Take a little time and sneak up on your final cut. Once everything's trimmed, I stretch the corners into place and staple it down to eliminate any remaining wrinkles. These corners will get stained later to match the table. All 4 corners, clean, tight, and built to last. With the surface complete, the table goes back into position, and the wall structure drops back on top, right where everything was designed to fit. Now it's really starting to come together. From here, I lock everything down permanently. This ties the entire structure together and sets the foundation for the next phase of the build. If you're following along, make sure to hit subscribe and like so you don't miss what's coming next. And always remember, structure beats luck.